Take two professionals operating in the same market environment. One relies on a conservative strategy, built for longevity. The other uses high leverage to aggressively maximize daily returns. While both generate wealth, their underlying architectures of risk are distinct. The leverage trader amasses a fortune, appearing to observers as a financial expert. But this success is fragile. In an asymmetric system, a single unexpected event can erase years of success in days. In 1998, the Russian government defaulted on its debt. The ensuing global crisis exposed the highly leveraged traders' hidden vulnerabilities, resulting in immediate bankruptcy. This drop to zero was the outcome of a strategy that functioned only within a specific, narrow market cycle. A prolonged period of favorable conditions had hidden the trader's exposure to high-impact, rare events. He is an example of a lucky fool. This is an operator who rides a favorable random walk, attributes the results to personal skill, and remains unaware of the underlying variance driving the returns. Professional accounting metrics and biological intuition measure linear outcomes. They are unequipped to parse risk in nonlinear environments, where a single data point can invalidate years of history. To understand how chance dictates reality, we must look past visible results and examine the hidden architecture of probability, moving from math into cognitive science. Judging a professional's performance by realized outcomes, without mapping the risk generators that produce them, leaves the observer vulnerable to miscalculation. The reality we observe is only one random sample from a distribution of possibilities. Accurate risk assessment requires accounting for alternative histories, the events that could have happened but did not. Consider a game of Russian roulette. Pulling the trigger creates 6 distinct pathways. In actual reality, we only witness one history. The survivor is celebrated, while the 5 fatal timelines remain invisible, creating a warped view of the odds. Compare a skill-dependent profession, like dentistry, with a randomness-dependent one, like trading. The dentist's success is stable and repeatable. The trader's success depends on the specific path the market takes. This logic leads to probabilistic accounting. Under this framework, the validity of a decision is evaluated by the range of its alternative outcomes, rather than the final dollar amount. $10 million earned through decades of dental practice carries a different probabilistic weight than $10 million won via a high-leverage gamble. The dollar amounts are identical, but the dependence on luck is not. Wealth generated through extreme variance acts as a temporary loan from randomness, liable to be recalled without warning. Many professionals believe that a long, profitable track record serves as evidence of strategic skill. A Monte Carlo simulation shows why this fails. If 10,000 managers play a purely random game, 5,000 show positive returns the first year. Iterated over 5 cycles, discarding losers, exactly 313 remain. They have a flawless record, generated entirely by chance. This is survivorship bias. We analyze the remaining winners while ignoring the purged population of losers who used identical strategies. It is the mathematical funnel used in mail fraud scams. By sending 10,000 market predictions and only contacting the group that received the correct one, a fraudster can make 200 people believe they have found a profit. We see this same error when analysts catalog the shared habits of millionaires, identifying traits like risk-taking or frugality as the cause of their success. Identifying risk-taking as a common trait among the wealthy is meaningless without examining the bankrupt population. They often possessed identical traits, but were hit by the bullet in the revolver. Statistical analysis of any track record is noise unless the size of the initial starting population is factored into the equation. Risk management often fails because professionals confuse the probability of an event with the expectation of its payoff. Calculating mathematical expectation requires weighing both the likelihood of an event and the magnitude of the result. This chart shows a skewed distribution, a 90% chance of a minor loss and a 10% chance of an explosive gain. A quantitative approach ignores the 90% failure rate to focus on the positive expectation. The infrequent large win justifies the small frequent losses. Conversely, a strategy with a 90% win rate is dangerous if the remaining 10% probability includes an event that wipes out all capital. This threshold of ruin is called an absorbing barrier. Once crossed, the operator is ejected from the system, rendering all previous wins irrelevant. In non-linear environments, high win rates are a distraction if the strategy allows for asymmetric risk that leads to ruin. The problem of induction questions whether any amount of historical observation can guarantee that the future will remain stable. Consider a turkey fed by a farmer every morning. For 1,000 days, the turkey's dataset confirms that the farmer is benevolent. The turkey's confidence in its safety reaches its peak on the day before Thanksgiving. The historical data provided no warning of the incoming change in the farmer's behavior. Karl Popper argued that true science requires falsification. We should not look for data that confirms our theories. We must search for the specific observations that prove them wrong. Europeans concluded all swans were white after observing millions of them, until they found a single black swan in Australia. A black swan is a rare, high-impact outlier that defies all inductive models. Relying on the phrase, "this has never happened before," is the primary failure of financial modeling. History does not move in steady increments. It moves through rare extremes. Historical datasets filled with silent evidence create a false sense of safety, leaving institutions unprepared for tail events. Our biology limits our ability to intuitively understand probabilistic spaces. Daniel Kahneman showed that the brain uses two systems, a fast emotional processor and a slow analytical one. In random environments, the emotional system often overrides logic. If faced with a 50-50 chance of being in Paris or the Bahamas, the brain cannot visualize a combination of those realities. It snaps to one concrete outcome, ignoring the probability in between. We require narratives. When Skinner gave random rewards to pigeons, they developed superstitions, repeating whatever physical action they performed just before the reward appeared. Our biological demand for deterministic stories causes professionals to misinterpret random noise as a meaningful signal. If complex systems are unpredictable and our brains are flawed, how do we design a strategy for survival? The barbell strategy provides a structural solution. It concentrates resources at the extremes and avoids the middle ground. You eliminate the risk of ruin by keeping the majority of assets in zero-risk vehicles. The remainder goes into aggressive, asymmetric bets, where the cost of being wrong is small, but the reward for being right is significant. To maintain this strategy, one must filter out the noise of financial journalism. This creates a barrier against the emotional reactions that lead to overtrading. This requires the discipline of stoicism, separating the execution of a logical process from the randomness of the outcome. You control the protocol. Chance controls the result. In a nonlinear world, true quantitative intelligence requires the structural discipline to survive what cannot be predicted.